2, 1. Hey, what's the deal, everybody? Welcome, and thank you for your time. Thanks for joining us. It's your boy, Talon Harris, recognizing the pandemic, the quarantine, the lockdown, the shelter in place, the COVID-19, the coronavirus, blah, 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 everything. Whatever's going on, we are in a state of affairs that we need to come together with motivation. All right, so welcome to Motivation Mondays. And what we do here is, my theory right now is I believe that there's three types of us right now going on while we have this big pandemic. And person number one is the reason why we started on Motivational Mondays in the first place. That's the person that we need to talk off the ledge, so to speak. There's somebody right now out there with the sound of this voice, the sound of this show, that's on the ledge, that needs to be told and reminded, hey, it ain't the end. You know what I mean? Like, come on back off that ledge. Think about it. Is it worth it? Who does it affect? What are you leaving behind? The whole thing, that's person number one. Person number two is a person who's only a few steps or a few days or hours away from being that person on the ledge. We want to remind them, if we catch them there before they get to the ledge, we've done our job. If we get you off the ledge, we've done our job. And then there's person number three, a person who I consider myself in this bubble of people who consider themselves okay, you know, not bad, not on the ledge, not about to be on the ledge, motivated, have already made the decision to come out of this pandemic better than I went into the pandemic. But even me, thinking I'm on point, still need to be motivated. Because why? The one thing all three types have in common, we're all human beings. Man, woman, child, mother, doesn't matter, father. We all in this thing together, all right? So welcome to Motivation Mondays. If we can reach one a week, that's my goal, one a week. Even if you walk away from this discussion and this hourly thing every week to make you cause another discussion. See, that's my point. That's my pivot. You know what I mean? That's what I would consider progress, because we're already in this discussion. But when this cuts off, do you go and further the discussion? Do you continue on? That's what it is. That's what we want to do. That's our goal. All right. That's when I know I made progress. So let's talk about the situation that we're in. I was saying earlier to the folks that I believe that our women definitely need to be recognized. I know you've been seeing all the media attention, all the viral videos, all the promos of, hey, support our Black queens. You know, we need them. I know it sounds a little cheesy, but it really not, because without them, you always hear this phrase, without them, there is no us. With Black women, it's literal. It's exact. It's on point, because they give birth. Fellas, how many kids have you gave birth to? How many has come out of your vaginal canal? That's what I thought. Same number as me. None. It's the woman who brings forth the man. The queen begets the king, and therefore the king uplifts the queen. And we got to look at our sisters, because I know this about Black women. Every time I say Black woman, my mom comes to mind, my grandmom comes to mind, all my aunties, my great-grands, and then the future, my daughters. And the one thing I know about them, that's one of their strongest traits, and to date probably one of their biggest deficit of a trait, is that the African-American women, if you want to call them that, I just say Black, but a lot of people want the technical term, is in her DNA to be strong, even when things are eating her up inside. With all those monkeys and weight on their shoulders and their backs that weigh them down day in, day out, week in, week out, they have this prone thing they do to not show it. So talking to some sisters today, they were like, hey, man, we need the support of our Black men, our brothers, our fathers and all that. And sometimes they feel like they don't get it. And I get it. And I understand both sides. Being the man, obviously it's easier for me to understand that side. But for the woman, you have to understand, if you have a trait, and this goes for anybody for that matter, if you have a trait and a habit or something's built in your DNA where no matter what, you always come out looking strong. If that's your thing, no matter what, I always come out looking strong. If that's your thing, that's great in the face of strength. But in the face of help, it's not so great. Because human beings, it's proven, we gravitate and are more prone to help the things that look like they need help. If I walk outside of my house and I see something, any living thing that needs help, I will stop and try to figure out what I can do. It could be a squirrel, looks injured, a bird not flying, a cat, a dog wounded. And you stop and you're like worried and like trying to think, you're looking and your brain's going, how can I help this thing? But see, it's showing you and it's appearing to need help and to be hurt. Now, if you take a woman who never appears to be needing help or never appearing to be hurt, everybody goes about their day. Nobody stops down to say, hey, you okay? How can I help? You need? So that gets lost in translation every day on a daily basis. All right. So I just want everybody to keep in mind as we go forward in this pandemic and this quarantining, and some people have opened up early and then closed back and starting over and all these things. It's going to be a lot more before we get to the finish line, before this thing is even close to what we may call the new norm. All right. So keep all that food for thought up here, people, as we go through all these different things that's happening. With that being said, this is a pandemic. And it makes no more sense than to bring my first guest to the table, to the virtual living room, if you will, who makes all the sense in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a life coach. This is an entrepreneur. This is a businessman in his own right. He travels, a motivational speaker, but more importantly, life coach. That's why we have him here, because we're talking people off the ledge. On his fourth book, How to Become Motivated in a Coronavirus Pandemic, The Magic of Uncertainty. Please welcome Darryl Bumpus Sr. in here, man. At home, put your virtual claps together as I bring my good friend onto the screen. Darryl, what's up, bro?
What's up, T? How you doing, young man? What's up?
I'm good. I'm impressed every time I see that background, brother. Every time I see, I think I got an impressed background, and then you come on there with books. But see, my books ain't none of them mine. It's a lot of money. I just count all the money I spent. You know what I mean? But when yours come on, you sitting in front of your thing. It's a good sight to see, brother. Welcome back to another discussion, you and I together. Darryl Bumpus Sr., ladies and gentlemen, on his fourth book. So by the time, if you don't take anything away from this, make sure you support, because they're all books that we all need. That's another thing I love about it. It's not just like I'm telling you, go get Cat in the Hat or Man on the Tin Roof and all that stuff. I'm talking about books like We Need to Talk, Stop Interfering. All right. We're talking about another book, I Know You Hear Me, But Are You Listening? All right. Darryl Bumpus Sr. Another third book, Mr. and Mrs. Distraction, The Process of Making Progress. And the book to me that we're all living right now, right here, one I just mentioned, all right? How to Become Motivated in a Coronavirus Pandemic. Darryl Bumpus Sr., welcome back, my brother. First of all, how do I become motivated, man, in a nutshell?
Oh, man. Well, listen, as I tell all my clients, man, I hopped off a session with one of my clients. It's simple. You know, we make life is easy. We make it hard, right? It's really easy, but we make it hard. And how do we make it hard is by getting in our own way.
Okay.
Become motivated. You got to get out of your own way. You got to get out of your own way, and you got to stop. We have to stop surrounding ourselves with so much negative energy, man.
Right.
So much negative energy. We can have that negative energy come from TV. It can come from family members.
Got you.
From associates. We have to be mindful of the energy that we surround ourselves with, so then we can start focusing on our motivation. You know, like I tell my clients is, listen, focus is my first name and my last name is winning.
I like that. I like that. Okay, so here's the first thing I want to do. I want to go back with you because obviously, for somebody to be a life coach, first of all, you have to care about one's life. Second of all, something had to happen to get this point to what I call the perfect storm, to bring a person to that place, that point of view, to say, boom. Like, because all your books, as you can see, I read off the titles, and they all have something to do with help, self-help, individualism, self-analyzing, you know what I mean? Surrounding analyzing, things like that. What brought Mr. Dow Bumpus Sr. to that point? Not only to that point, it had to be a real prolific, perfect storm for you to want to share that and put that out there like that.
Yeah. I mean, great question, Talent. Great question. What it was for me is watching my father, as I stated in my books, watching my father. All right, I'll give you the. It was me and my mother, and we was in my father's hospital room.
Okay.
And he was dying of cancer.
Wow.
Cancer. Right? And my mother's on one side of the bed, and I'm on the other side of the bed. And my father looks at my mother and looks at me. He looks at my mother and he looks at me, and he says, "Mom." He says, "Mom." And he's calling his mother, which have passed away years ago.
Wow.
What he was doing is he was calling his escort, because we all have escorts to escort us into those pearly gates, the pearly gates that people always talk about.
Right.
Saying mom, he was saying mom, and he was dying as he was calling his mother. And he looked at my mother, and he looked at me, and he looked at my mother, and he looked at me, and I said to him, "The family is going to be okay. It's okay. You can go." And he took his last breath. Now, this is my best friend. This is my hero. This is my Superman. And I watched him take his last breath. And it shook my world. It shook my foundation. I'm saying to myself in the hallway, and I'm screaming, what I'm going to do now? What I'm going to do now? What I'm going to do now? In that moment, it made me realize that I wasn't invisible. It made me realize that I can't take life for granted. I can't take time for granted. Right? Time is not promised to anyone. Tomorrow is not promised to anyone. If someone is promising tomorrow to you, let me, I want to hook up.
I know that's right. You're right. It's like life is too short, and you're not promised tomorrow. I remember saying that, like, when it came clear and apparent for me that expression right there was 9/11. Like 9/11 was, and I'm sure to a lot of people, because the unthinkable and the unreal had happened in front of our very eyes, right? So that in a similar fashion, I want to say that this pandemic is something like that. Like, this is something, I mean, don't get me wrong, we're months in it now. So we are, unfortunately, like humans do, starting to adapt into what this means for everybody out there, right? But when it smashed and first became a real reality and a realization, people start losing a lot of people and loved ones. It was very similar to 9/11. It was very similar to this thing that we've seen in so many movies and sci-fi TV programs, that now here it is in real time in front of our face. So for a lot of people, this is their moment. That moment you had on the side of your dad dying bed, the hospital bed, the moment that I had in 9/11, this is that moment for a majority of people right now.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So life is short. I think we all have that moment where we go, you know what? I'm not promised tomorrow.
Right. Yeah, and in addition to watching my father take his last breath, you know, I thought I was the yes man for everyone. I was the yes man for so many people. You know, if you want to borrow some money, don't worry about it. I got you. You want to borrow
Right.
a car, don't worry about it. I got you. Whatever you want, don't worry about it. I got you. See, I was the guy with the S on with the yes on his chest. I was yes to everyone, but I forgot to be yes to myself, right? And one
Mm.
woke up and the left side of my face was paralyzed, and it still is. And I thought I was dying. I thought I was having a stroke. And come to find out, it's Bell palsy.
Okay.
It's Bell palsy, and what it came from my POV, is stress and worry.
Mm.
I was piling everyone else's problems on my shoulders. I was trying to be Superman and trying to save everyone else, but I was forgetting to save myself.
Yeah, I've been there. I can relate to that.
Yeah, yeah, T. When I looked in that mirror, my mind and my body was telling me, you better get it together. You better get it together, or we're gonna take
Yeah.
you out of here, man. I'm warning you, you better get it together. You better get your ducks in a row. You better get your house in order. Because if you don't get it together, we're going to take you out of here. And I had to start putting the oxygen mask on myself first before thinking about saving everyone else.
That's, you know, and it's funny because you just answered the next question. I was going to roll that into the question of what do we tell that person? Because there's a person, I believe, in every family's generational spectrum, everyone has that person in there that we're used to taking care of everything around us and everyone around us before taking care of self.
Right.
And like I just said at the top of the show, you know, that's a lot of the sisters. You know, a lot of our women are that. And the difference is they never have those moments of, hey, listen, I'm exhausted. Somebody hug me, I need help, you know, whatever the case may be. I think because we're in a capitalistic environment, I think we're way more prone to ask for financial help sometimes than we are for our own help, our own like health things. You know what I mean? Like stress, like depression, like all those inner things that break us down slowly but surely, you know, and end up being the end of us. We're more prone to go, hey, man, yo, Bump, you got $100, man, till Friday. We're more prone to do shit like that, pardon my French, than to just be like, yo, come over here. I really need to talk to you. Yo, dude, I'm on the edge. You know, I'm at the end of my rope. I've been trying to keep this thing up. Because let's face it, it's America. It's a capitalistic structure that everything is built on. That's the foundation of America. Like, what's your capitalistic foundation? And it caused a lot of us to live beyond our means, to you know, keep up with the Joneses, as they always say. And that's got to be stressful.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, you know, I always say that stress and worry is no friend of mine.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Friend of mine and happiness is who I hang out with now.
Mm.
See, I used to hang out with stress. I used to hang out with worry, and
Right.
I used to hang out with exhaustion. I used to hang out with depression. I used to hang out with not being financial literate. I mean, this was
Right.
a cruelty that I used to hang out with. You know what I mean?
That was your crew. That was your crew.
That was the crew. You know, worry and the rest of them, and some of them was related. You know,
Right.
So what happened is we end up parting ways because we were dating the same woman, the same girl.
Got
right?
you.
And her name is Misery. Right?
Yep.
Misery loves company.
Fact.
So I had to part ways from them because I didn't want to hang out with stress. I didn't want to hang out with worry. I didn't want to hang out with gossip. I didn't want to hang out with misery. So now when I walk down the block, see, I got my own crew now. And my own crew is peace of mind and happiness. My own crew is focus. My own crew is financial literacy, financial freedom. So now when they see us walking down the block, they cross the street. See, tell them you better get out of the way because we deep.
Right.
We deep.
Makes all the sense in the world, my brother.
Yeah.
You ain't never lied about that.
Yeah, we continue to multiply and we continue to keep sharing to others that you don't have to be in stress. You don't have to deal with so much of debt in your life and creating so much of stress in your life. You know what I mean? You can create your own crew. And by doing that, listen, from January up until June, I lost 6 people that had passed away. Right now, I can't contribute it to say that it definitely was coronavirus, but I think it may have something to do with it, you know. But from that,
absolutely right.
No one has to experience that type of death in their life. 6 people, and I actually went to 3 funerals in 1 week, right? But if I wasn't ready, if I wasn't prepared, if I didn't go and sit down with a therapist years ago and when I needed help and I asked for help, because there's 3 things that is the hardest for people to say. And I believe I said this to you one time before, but the 3 hardest things is I apologize, I love you, and I need help. I need help. And when my face became paralyzed, when my father took his last breath in front of me, I said to myself, I need help.
So give me those 3 again, because that's very crucial what you say there. I do remember you telling me that before, and it stood out like a sore thumb, man. Because I can relate.
Right.
The 3 hardest things for people to do is what? Say what?
It's to say I apologize.
I apologize.
Because people say sorry because they don't want to make it personal. I'm sorry about that. You know what I mean? But saying, I apologize. I'm sorry. Saying I'm sorry. When they say I apologize, they try to make it not too intimate, too personal. So just saying I apologize for that, you know. But actually being able to say I'm sorry is more.
It's deeper, right? I'm sorry.
Right. So saying I'm sorry, saying I love you. People say, you know how I care about you, you know how I feel about you.
Yeah, instead of saying I love you.
First, I love you, you know, because that's too intimate. That's too, they're being too.
Yeah, that's opening up too much for, you know, people, again, the fear mechanism of opening up too much.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then I need help is the 3rd one.
And the 3rd one is, which is the most important one, I believe, is I need help. I need help. There are so many people out there that are trying to do it on their own and not realizing. There are so many people that are feeling like they are invisible. They are invisible. Like people don't see them. Someone doesn't see them. People in their family. And just to touch back on what you're saying before is that in generations, we all have ambassadors of our family, right? I like to be ambassador.
Yeah, true.
I believe you're an ambassador of your family. We have leaders in our family, right? But who is there to help those ambassadors? Who is there to help those leaders? You know, leaders need help. Ambassadors need help. When talent has something on his mind, who is it that he can actually call and say, listen, man, I just need to talk. I don't want anything. I don't want to say it. I just need to talk. I just need to get something off my chest. I just want to talk. Or I just want to. We have to have that circle of support, because so many of us don't have it, and then we're feeling invisible. We're feeling left out, especially the queens, especially the women of the world, especially women in our communities. They're just feeling like they're doing so much. They're doing things for the kids. They're doing things for their parents. They're doing things for their husband, for their boyfriends. They're doing things for so many people. And when they looking in the mirror, they're saying, well, who's there for me? I'm there for everybody else. Who's there for me, though?
Right. No, that makes that makes all the sense in the world. I want to do something again, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking to Darryl Bumpus, senior life coach, entrepreneur, author of these 4 books I've mentioned, which I will re-mention in 1 second. Before I dive into these books, I want to play a thinking game real quick with you. Top 10 topics that I'm going to yell out a word or two, and you give me a positive reaction, a negative reaction of what comes to mind.
Wow. Okay.
All right. So, first and foremost, you see my shirt. It's just comedy. If I say to you comedy, what comes to mind? Positive and maybe negative. One of each.
Positive. Positive because it's motivation.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah, it's motivating. People may not realize it, look at it in that way, but it's motivating. It's motivating to see, first of all, getting up on a stage is not easy. And that's coming from a speaker.
Right.
It's not easy. People think it is. Oh, I could be a comic. Anyone could be a comic. But I don't want to get long-winded with my answer, but I would say motivation.
Okay.
If you want to say negative.
If any comes to mind,
Well, I don't see really too much. All right. Well, I'll look,
you sound like you're about to go into your least favorite comedians. That dude, man. Go ahead.
And the only thing is to me, and it's just not with comedians too, but since you brought it up, me, you know how I just feel about the N-word.
Right. Okay. No, that makes sense.
This time, the time that we're in right now, I just think it's just so, I don't know. I just think it's so degrading. And when I hear, I
like that.
That's my opinion. I
like that. Next word, history.
History. Wow, positive?
Positive is your prerogative whether you want to go positive or negative first. That's all on you. I'm just splatting the paint on the wall.
Okay, well, I would like to say negative. We've painted the narrative for us. We've been painted in so much of a negative and light for so many years. For so many years, that we got to the point where we've been programmed to believe that we can't do anything in this world. We can't be anyone in this world. And what it's taught me is that history is just full of lies. History is just full of illusions. History is just full of the narrative that people have built around wanting us to believe that you're nobody. You're nobody. Going back to the word that I mentioned earlier, previously, is that you're invisible. That we don't. But then when you really dig deep and you do your own due diligence, you do your own homework, you realize, man, my pedigree is kings, man.
But that would be positive.
Yeah.
So you're right. You got history is a POV, a point of view. So if I take the point of view that you force feeding me all these years, there's a lot of negative in it now that I look at it. You know what I mean? But like you said, if I do my own due diligence, go deeper and see who I am and what I derive from, hey, man, I'm kings and queens. You know what I mean? So that's perfect right there. Next word, sports.
Sports. Positive.
Okay.
Okay. Nothing but positive. Well, I don't know, T. I'm just gonna have to keep bouncing. Positive because I think it's motivation. I think it shows people that you can accomplish things if you put your mind to it. Just like other things under that umbrella of motivation, if you put your mind to it, you can do it.
No, I agree. I agree with that.
Sports is a perfect example of that. Now, well, I'll leave it at that.
What about music?
Oh man, I love music, man.
Inspirational. I always say music is the soundtrack to everybody's life. Like no matter what your life is.
Deep, man. Yeah, I mean, because I'll start my morning.
Yes.
I just love the music. I mean, I just applaud these singers. How they can bring so much of joy, and I don't care what genre it is, whether it's gospel or R&B or soul or country, whatever it is, they just bring so much of joy into people's lives. You can be feeling Man, we're not even, you using hand sanitizer, I'm not even close to you.
I don't trust me. I take a power nap before the show. I'm like, I don't know where I was in that dream. I don't know if they were social distancing or nothing, man. I don't even remember that dream. So let me go ahead and no, but I agree with you. Like, music is the soundtrack. You know what's funny? You know, I play a lot of music on my late shows, right? So I'm in the middle of my what I call it, Twitter After Dark, and I'm playing this music, and I hit a love song that hit a nerve with a listener, somebody who's tuned in on Twitter, and they was like, so I'm reading the comics as I'm playing, and in the comments, he kind of automatically went to a negative place, right? And it was like, oh man, I just got out of a relationship, just broke up, I don't want to hear that, whatever. And I was like, yo, that's more of a reason to hear it. Don't when something negative, and this is not just for the relationship, but when something negative happens to you in life, man, you got to face that eventually head on. Don't go cramming in a shell and try to do this, because until you deal with it and heal, you know, young lady Cindy Ball on the show said something interesting. Cindy was like, yo, she said, I believe in like this purgatory of trial and error. Like, if there's something that you're not getting and you just keep hitting that same bump in the road, she said, I believe that that's God. God putting you on a rotation around the same bump until you get it. You cannot go on until you accept and understand whatever that is. You know what I mean? So I had kind of put that same thing to the dude. And then like 2 or 3 songs in, he was like, you know what? You're right. I'm starting to, as the music's going on, he's starting to hear songs that brought up happy memories and good times, even though he's no longer with, you know, his ex or whatever the case may be. So I'm with you. Music will be the sound of, you know, soundtrack to life. What about social media?
I just wanted to touch back on that. But
okay, go ahead. My bad.
Too many times we concentrate on the negative things that has occurred in our
right.
Instead of concentrating, like a lot of people celebrate or think of the day of someone's passing instead of celebrating their birthday. So I want to be more conscious, more aware of a happy when someone's birthday is coming instead of celebrating the day that they passed away. You know, that's the day I say bye. It is what it is. But I'm remembering the day that they came into the world. I'm remembering that at least I had the opportunity.
Right. Well, I will give our people credit on that as of late, right? And I would say in the last decade and a half, 10, 15 years, I will give our people credit on. I've been going to more people labeling it and seeing it as a celebration of someone's life when they pass away, as opposed to being a young dude coming up. My whole first 30 years of living, everything was a sad black and blue moment. Like, everybody's blue, everybody going on black. And it's like, oh man, but, you know, I will say for the last decade, even on paper, when they doing the obituaries and all those things and the programs for the ceremonies, more and more celebration of lives.
Right.
We have been witnessing. So I'll give them a little credit on that. I absolutely agree with you. We need to celebrate that. Okay. Now this one's going to be a good word for you because of you being a life coach. When I say the word conspiracies.
Oh, conspiracies. They exist.
Yeah, I know that. But do you, as a life coach, am I a person that's pushing these conspiracies? Do I feed into them, or do I navigate people, so to speak, in a GPS away from it?
Well, I mean, for myself, with my clients, I discuss with them their point of view, whether is this really fact? What you're believing? Is there really real substance what you're believing? Or is this something you heard on Facebook?
Right.
So again, I'm
you're right.
Someone that really believe in finding the information for yourself and not just relying on what someone has told you.
Right.
Now, if you want to go and see whether they're actually UFOs, and I believe it's in Vegas or so, or Nevada.
Nevada, yeah.
then so be it. But just don't rely on YouTube telling you that it's there. So, you know, I just always subscribe to, if I want to know something, if I don't want to go by just what someone is telling me or so.
Okay, got you there. So that could be either or. Politics.
Or illusion. It's all an illusion. It's all an illusion. It's I believe that it's the believing that keeping, sad to say, you know, with George Floyd, but keeping your knee on their necks, so that we're seeing that firsthand. For instance, you have people who've been arguing in the House with the HEROES Act and the CARES Act, and people trying to get the stimulus check passed.
Right.
We have politicians that are constantly going on vacations while people are starving, while people can't pay their rent. I believe it's San Francisco that's had a run of tenants just leaving they're breaking their leases because they can't pay their rent. So how are you going on vacation when you have your so-called American citizens that can't buy food? So I think it's a game, and it's the biggest game. I wrote some years ago when Bush and was it Bush and Obama?
Right.
Obama? Right. So when Obama was running, I had said years ago, this is the biggest game you will ever see played. Not the NFL, not the NBA, not the Major League Baseball, not hockey, not NHL. This is the biggest game you will ever see played, to see this black man go into office as the first, as the first black president.
Right.
But politics is the biggest game that is played in the world.
Well, that's well said. That's well said and accurate.
What Albert Einstein said is, learn the rules of the game and then play it better than them. Right? Learn the rules of the game, then play it better than them. So what it is that you have to figure out the game that they're playing in politics and then play it better than them. This is chess. Life is chess, man.
I was just about to say, and you can't show up to a chess match being a champion at checkers. Two different games, you know what I mean? Children and relationships, put those two together. Children and relationships.
Well, they go hand in hand.
That's why I put them together.
Yeah.
But is that an instant positive for you, or is it the same thing, 50-50?
It's a positive. It's a positive. Look, children are a sponge, right? So show them, they're going to duplicate. Right. And then they're going to pass it and carry it into their relationships.
Okay.
Right. So what we show them, how we deal with other people, friends, families, co-workers, business partners, what we show them is what they're going to repeat, and they're going to carry into their next relationships. And if they're showing examples of fear in relationships, if they're showing examples of leadership in their relationships, that's only because they're going by what we've shown them. That's why I always tell my clients is that someone is always watching you. Someone is always watching you. What are you going to show them? And the people that's always watching you most of the time is usually the children.
You know, it's very interesting because you know how they say nowadays that someone's always watching. There's a camera everywhere. So even before all these cameras, children were the cameras. You know what I mean? There was sponges, but there were cameras soaking up stuff to go into the sponge part of them, which will be the brain, you know, the memory banks and habits and stuff like that. So that's very interesting take on that. Okay, so the last one out of the 10 that I want to bring up because it springboards perfectly into your book.
I just want to touch back on that real quick, is that, and I think it's just really, really, really important.
Okay.
To the women, is that I can't think that my son is going to treat any woman in his life any different if I don't show him how I'm treating his mother, or how I'm treating his sister, how I'm treating his grandmother, his aunts. You know what I mean? So he's watching what I do. Now, if he behave in a certain manner, and I'm like, well, you know, where did you get that from? It's only right for him to say, I got it from you, because I'll show him how to, you know, I'm going to treat them like queens. Or so it's people, women, and again, it goes back to the women. You know, how do I treat my daughter? I like to raise the bar. I believe I've raised the bar enough that anyone that's in my daughter's life has they got to bring it. They got to bring A+ game, not just the A game, but the A+ game, because I'm the first one that ever gave my daughter roses.
Got you.
Right?
Got you. Yep.
I want her to know that, no, I will not accept anything less than this. Because, for instance, I just had a conversation with my daughter not too long ago, and I'm not going to stay on this, but I was telling her how at times when men would say to her, or guys would say to her, that she was high maintenance, right? And I said, no, she's not high maintenance. They're intimidated by what it is, how you feel about yourself in life. It's not that she need anything from them, but this is what she expects. If you're going to come and like I tell them, no one can make you happy. No one can make you happy. They can only add to your happiness, right? They can only subtract from your happiness.
Right. Fact.
They make you happy. So for my son and for my daughter, you know, especially with my daughter, she's not high maintenance. She knows what she wants, and she knows what she's not going to settle, especially if she know what she's come from, and she's seen how her father, her grandfather, her great grandfather, how we've treated the women in our family.
But I'm not even mad at the phrase high maintenance. I think that, you know, when I was a younger man, would I probably be mad at that? Yeah. But as a grown ass man, now I'm looking at it from a different POV. I'm looking at it like, if I want her,
right,
and I want her to be my other half, I want her to be in my life. This is something I'm serious about, and I want her to do that. I need her to be high maintenance now, because that is what we've been talking about this whole damn show. That's going to motivate me to do more and better.
Indeed.
If she's not, think about this. Because, and no disrespect, I'm not trying to compare your princess to sneakers, but I'm just using it as an example because these kids today will put so much value in the new AN1s and the Jordans and whatever sneaker thing these sneakerheads love. They don't have a nickel in their pocket. The sneaker drops is $300 and something. Between the moment that they know it's dropping and the moment that they go to acquire that sneaker has motivated them somehow, some way to get this $300 and something to own those sneakers, to have them in their possession, they want them in their grasp that bad. I think that if you are wanting to be that guy, that man, that king for that queen, I want her to be high maintenance, because that's going to motivate me even more to make me become what I need to be to even be worthy. Like you just said, you set the bar here.
Right.
So that guy has to be a certain type of guy to come there and take your princess hand and get your approval and become her king and she his queen. I'm not mad at high maintenance no more. I used to be a young dude and frown upon it like the next dude. I probably said it to a chick or two in my 20s, 19, in my teenage years. Oh, girl, you high maintenance, man. Go ahead with yourself. Right. You know what I mean? And then I watched myself go from a person with a job to a guy with a career. And I've watched, as a dude with a career, a lot of these women give off to a guy who's not motivated the worst perfume he could smell. It's called ambition. It's called intimidation. These are the worst perfumes a guy who's not motivated can smell. Intimidation. This is Intimidation by Perry Ellis. This is Motivation by Sean John. You know what I'm saying? Like, he would hate to smell these scents on a woman, because now that means I gotta come correct. I gotta be right. I gotta do more. I gotta be motivated. You'd be surprised how many dudes do not want to do something simple like get up in the morning and have an agenda. Right. Have an idea of how the day's going to go. Right. You know what I mean? I tell these people every week, I get up and I take my time to pump that through these airwaves. There's enough negative in the airwaves. Let me come through with some shining light and some positive and some motivation and stuff to make you just think about one little small thing. It might be a small mustard seed, but be the biggest thing to change your life and get it in the other way. You know, if I had $1, if it was money and people whose lives I changed, you know, and some of it is passe. Some of it I sat down and doing what we're doing right now with a real strategic talk of motivation. And then more of it is saying something in passing. You know, just noticing something in somebody that I might like or care about and say, hey, you just pull it for 5 seconds and say, hey, man, blah, blah, blah. And then 10 years later, that person see me somewhere and go, yo, T. I go, hey, man, I'm proud of you. Go, man, you don't know, man. You know, what you remember that time. And I may or may not remember that time, but they do. That's what's important. I told a friend of mine yesterday at a comedy show, you know, finally, first time getting out there and doing this thing inside of a place to go virtually, like stand-up, and watching the brother work. And this was a guy who came to me totally on the wrong path in comedy. And fast forward 10, 15 years, whatever it's been, when I see this brother now, it makes me so proud to see all of the little things over the years that I've said to him put it into play. And I had to pull him aside yesterday and say, you know, he's busy applauding me because, you know, the good show that I put on and everything. I had to pull him aside and just with a straight face, no joking, no playing around. I said, brother, just let me take a moment to tell you now, not only am I proud of you, bro, I'm a fan. I'm a fan now. You have gotten to a stature and a status that it could be a Thursday night bump and I'm home not doing nothing and a flyer come across my social media and say this guy is performing in the Bronx at such and such. I'll get dressed, get up and go over there. And if I got to pay it again, I'll pay it again and to sit there and I'll buy some food and some drinks, maybe bring some friends to support the cause to see you because now I'm a fan.
Right. Well, I just don't want to brush over what you just said. Some things you may say across the airways or across your platforms, people may say that it changed their lives. But
right.
What's important is that you have to realize that there are people who lives you have saved, not changed.
Right.
Also, but there are a lot more people whose lives you have saved. I mean, just coming to a show, just sitting there in your audience, and people may feel they may be at the end of the rope. You know,
oh, yeah.
May be on the edge. They're ready. They're just ready to take that last breath. You know,
yes.
Even that. You know, it changed their mind. It shift, you know, their focus. It shift their vision, and they realize that, you know what, I'm going to give one more day. I'm going to give just because of that one joke that hit home. I'm going to give more. So I applaud you, and I think you need to give yourself a bit more credit.
Well, I appreciate that, and that you answered, and that the wordplay, the 10 topics, 9 of the 10. The last one is the word pandemic. And I saved it for last, is out of order on purpose because it's you, and we're dealing with your latest book now. How to become motivated in the coronavirus pandemic. Before I let you go on that, I just want to get state of mind. Brief sentence or two on each book. Right? We need to talk. Stop interfering.
Right.
Give me a brief statement or two. Mindset. Why?
Talk about, when you say that to someone, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a friend, a coworker, whoever, whenever they say that to you, we need, it's something serious.
You know, that's true.
Something serious, something on someone's heart, something on someone's mind. Listen, we need to talk, right? And I believe that with that came from saying your spirit, your guides, your angels, your ancestors. It's whispering, saying, we need to talk, man. Because you can do better.
I like that. I like that. I like that because I like is a like you said in the beginning, is a stop you in your tracks.
Right.
title. You know what I mean? You know, when people want something, so you know it's serious when we're going, hey man, we need to talk. Because otherwise they would just say what they're saying. If I say to you, we need to talk, is an instant, automatic attention grabber. So I like the title. I like all your titles. That's the only reason I'm bringing this up. Mr. and Mrs. Distraction. Mm-hmm. The process of making progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Mr. and Mrs. Distraction came from me realizing that we have too many, including myself, too many distractions in our lives. You know,
okay.
Money can be a distraction.
Always.
Racism is a distraction.
Yes, sir.
You know, battling weight, trying to lose, having a weight loss, illness. All these things are distracting us from being the best version of ourselves, right? But the minute we realize and be honest with ourselves, what are our distractions and what is our goals, we can get to our goals a lot quicker the minute we begin to start eliminating the distractions in our lives. And sometimes distractions can come from friends and family.
No, that's a great point right there. And before we get to the book, I know you hear me, but are you listening? The doorway to peace of mind.
Yeah, that was my very first book. And I needed that because that book was therapeutic. You know, I wrote that out of my father passing away. And I started it as a journal. I just started writing in a journal. And again, you know, the Celestine prophecy says the problem in life isn't finding the right answers.
Right.
It's identifying the right questions. Once you get the questions right, the answers will come. Right? So I started asking the right questions and the answers came. And I started listening to, again, the whispers from, and I keep going back to my ancestors, to our ancestors, to my guides and my angels speaking to me. You know, my father speaking to me. And again, it's saying, I know you hear me, but are you listening? So while they're speaking to me, they're telling me, are you listening? Are you listening to what we're saying? I know you hear me, but are you actually listening to what we're telling you? We're telling you to start that clothing company. We're telling you to go and do a partnership with talent. We're telling you to go and write these books. We're telling you to go start speaking around the world. Are you listening to what we're telling you? We're telling you to start developing other companies and being an entrepreneur, or whatever it may be. We're telling you to start investing in yourself. Warren Buffett said the best investment you can make is investing in yourself. Laura Hill says you can't win unless you're right within. How are you going to win if you ain't right within? How are you going to win? We got all the things on the outside, but we're not right on the inside.
Interesting.
Without doing without detoxing on the inside. How are you going to win when you out here and you doing all these things and you saying, yeah, I love my queens, but then you calling them bees and so you call them the N-word. So again, it's all about are you listening? When sisters and these kings, Pastor Sunday says, feet on the ground, head in the clouds. That's how giants walk. I know.
Okay. I get that. And now, which brings me to your latest and fourth publication, How to Become Motivated, which fits right up our alley, so that's why we talk a lot. How to become motivated in the coronavirus pandemic, the magic of uncertainty. This one here, most recently released, and you know, me and you, we've been through this before. You know, I've been reading this book and the table of contents. You know, this is a must-have. First of all, why would Dow Bumpus Senior sit down and say, you know what, I need a now book now?
Yeah, because I know with this pandemic, it's so easy for people to fall into depression. You know, I found myself just, you know, constantly watching the news. And I rarely watch the news.
Okay.
I found myself watching the news, turning on the news and listening to all this, you know, everything that was going on. And again, I like to be informative. I like to know what's going on. But at the same time, I don't want that to consume me. And I realized, I was like, well, wait a minute. I had to put on my brakes. I had to listen again, and say, be careful, because you can easily slide into this and not come out from it. And I knew that other people that are feeling the same way. People are feeling just so overwhelmed, so exhausted. Some people are working from home. They're spending more time with their families that they've ever spent in
Facts.
in a lifetime. Some of them are actually getting to know other people in their family. Some of them are not so agreeable with the people that they are meeting now. They didn't mind, but actually saying that, I'm not okay with this. Yeah, I love you, but I don't want to be around you 24 hours.
Right.
It's creating, it's breeding stress, it's breeding worry, it's breeding uncertainty, it's breeding depression, it's breeding suicide, it's breeding physical abuse. People are being physically abused. Imagine having to stay in this home when her only outlet at the time was getting to work, and she can break away from this abuser, but now she's in his clutches 24 hours a day. So I had to think of these things, and I'm constantly hearing these stories. I'm hearing what my clients are telling me also, and again, it came to me and I said, you need to put something that's going to help people. That's going to help people become more motivated. There's enough negative news out there, but we need to constantly share that motivation with people. And I hope I was able to put tools in the book that will make people, that is my intent. My intention is to help people find their peace of mind and their happiness. And if it's in my words, then so be it. But I just know that there are so many people that are holding on to dear life right now.
Yeah.
Need something in a nutshell. I was throwing them a life preserver.
Got you. Well, let me let you know that you have done that. It is in that book. I actually, after going through the book and reading chapters, see that it's a literal form and a writing form, written form, if you will, of we came totally not even talking to each other. We came out doing the same thing, swinging the same blows, and motivating people, knowing that this could be the thing that pushed them over the edge or that they don't come back from. And you put a pen to a paper. I put my voice to social media and these platforms, and we serve the same purpose, my brother. And I just want to thank you, man, again, because you always come through. You always drop the jewels. And every time we do it, I don't care how many times we get together and talk, 10 extra jewels come out from somewhere, from under the blanket, under the mattress. It's like the old, back in the day, we stashed money under the mattress. It got so common to put money under the mattress, we still think we're doing something secretive. No, all you got to do is go in any house at random and go into the mattress, and you got the money. So I applaud you, brother, for doing your part. Like I champion myself for doing that same part, vocally and verbally. And let the people know where to go get all these books, because all of this stuff is knowledge and mental, aspirations and inspirations that we want to feed on to the people. We want people to walk out again, come out of this better than the way you went in.
Yeah, indeed. And I thank you, and I appreciate you, King. I appreciate you, Talent, for sharing your platform with me, sharing your viewers and your listeners with me. Listen, man, I just want to say, people don't know our total history.
Right.
I tell people, you gave me a shot when I only thought I only had an idea at the time, and when other people were telling me no, I got thousands of no's. And I want anyone that is listening to this and that can hear this, is that all it takes is that one yes.
Yeah, true.
Yes. And I thank you. I appreciate you. My heart is smiling because you was my one yes. And I thank you for that.
Well, brother, you always got that from me. And we can get all these books on Amazon, right? Correct?
Yeah, everything is on Amazon. Just put in Daryl Bumpus Sr. and you can get it from Amazon.
All right, you've seen it and heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Daryl Bumpus Sr. Clap it up, virtual claps. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. We'll talk soon and chop it up. Y'all give it up for my good friend, Daryl Bumpus Sr. How to Become Motivated in a Coronavirus Pandemic, and all the other books, Amazon.com. That's how you go and get them. Listen, man, We don't mean to waste your time. We don't mean to do this just to be doing it. We're actually hoping that we can earn points and win by helping somebody else win. You heard the man in the words of Lauryn Hill, how you going to win if you ain't right within? And from early on interview with my girl, Cindy Ball, who we'll have on here probably the next episode, the founder and CEO of Determined to Educate Foundation. She said it best today. She said, even my past relationships and people that I'm no longer with or deal with, she said, it didn't work out. We didn't work out. She said, but the crazy thing is, I still want you to win. And with that, that's how I want all of us to think going forward. It don't have to, because when one of us win, we all win. Ain't no fun if the homies can't get some. It's your boy Talon Harris, Motivated Monday. I hope we help somebody. Each one teach one. I am my brother's keeper. All of that stuff. Don't just say it, people. Be about that life.